Louisiana All American Sports Show. 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 Louisiana. If the sports you wanna talk about, then listen to the hottest show that's coming out the south. It's Eric Hatfield and Coach Perry Daniels, man. They're gonna sit you down and tell you all about the game and make it plain. 96.9 FM, that's the station. To hear the best sports talk show in the nation. Without hesitation, you should get with this and get your popcorn ready for you better not miss. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana All American Sports Show. Louisiana. Check this out.
Just so fresh, so clean. Yeah, good morning. I want to welcome you to the Louisiana All American Sports Show. It's August the 22nd, and I'm Gerard Piper, a.k.a. Joker P, and I'll be your host today. It's a beautiful day out there, man. It's great to be alive and well. I'm feeling pumped up in charge. And here in the studio with me today, none only than the one and only.
It's Eric Hatfield here, and thanks for joining us again on this 33rd edition in the year 2015 of the Louisiana All American Sports Show. And, of course, we have live from the nation's capital,
Coach Perry Daniels.
Yeah, yes, indeed. How goes it, man? How goes it?
Super fantastic, good brother. Super fantastic.
Well, let's jump right into it. I mean, what we got on the high school front, Eric?
Well, on the high school front, actually, we're gonna take a different path today on the high school front. We had a couple of coaches who we had on our whiteboard, but I think they were busy punching in the final days of practice and camp. So we will attempt to get in touch with them next week and bring you some more coaching action here on the Louisiana All American Sports Show. But I think Perry has a topic in its place that affects, I think, high school kids. Well, it really affects everybody, but particularly young people of late. Perry?
Yeah, so actually before we jump into that, there's one high school story that I want to keep our listeners abreast of. So over the summer, some very key high school basketball players transferred schools. Cameron Lard, Dalen Alexander, and Braxton Bernard. Cameron Lard is a senior that led Natchitoches Central to the state championship 2 years ago and to the state runner-up in Class 5A last year. He has transferred to a New Orleans-based school, Landry Walker,
Really?
who is now elevated from Class 4A to 5A. Lard is 6'9" and a very highly recruited basketball player that is now playing for Landry Walker. The other gentleman, Galen Alexander, is a 6'6". He's a 6'6" kid who previously played with Bro Bridge and has now transferred to Lafayette Christian High School. And Eric, I know you remember several years ago when you and I were covering that Lafayette Christian team as they had epic battles with Madison Preparatory Academy. Coach Byron Starks is happy to have this young man, Alexander, transfer to his school from Bro Bridge. The last gentleman, Braxton Bernard, is 6'4", averages 24.6 points a game.
Wow.
Good grief.
Going to be a senior, and guess which Baton Rouge school he has transferred?
Is it a very high-profile school that tends to travel?
What you think is it rhymes with Patterson?
Yeah, Madison Prep Academy, I'm going to guess. Just a guess.
Absolutely. He
Wow.
is transferred to Madison Preparatory Academy.
Well, the rich keep getting richer.
Hey, it's politics.
Cameron Lard, by the way, that was the young fella who, I mean, really, if Natchitoches Central had won the championship over
We covered him.
Scotlandville, yeah, he would have been the MVP of the game. He was a very impressive talent. You can hear some commentary on Louisiana. If you go to YouTube and YouTube Louisiana All American Sports, Natchitoches Central, Scotlandville, you hear some commentary, see some interviews
Wow.
with him. He's a very impressive player.
Yeah.
That's a big addition to Landry Walker. That is interesting to know.
That's big. And it was a great kid, too.
Yeah,
we
nice
was
kid.
at the press conference at the end, and, you know, he was real emotional.
Yeah.
He cried up there and stuff, but they had to come up with a complete game plan for this guy.
Yeah,
This guy was
they
so
did.
big, but the game plan worked, and so it was great, you know, great coaching job. But, man, big news right there, Coach.
How about that?
It's going to be interesting to see. So all of these transfers, of course, have been questioned by competitive schools.
Right.
And the LHSAA will review them. And according to the Baton Rouge Morning Advocate, Coach Jeff Jones is saying that he hopes the Louisiana High School Athletic Association bases their decision on the information that Madison Preparatory Academy submits and not what the rumor is on the street.
And Coach Jones knows how to work the media. And I should have put this. This man didn't get to the top by sleeping his way through coaching school. So I'm gonna, if I had to bet money, I think he's gonna get his way.
I think so too. Well, to me, it all depends on. We know how Louisiana works. Louisiana is pretty much about politics and who you know down here. So if he's in the know, then I think it's a go. But you know, that's what it's about. You know, if he knows the right people, then hey, he'll get that okay. So,
agreed.
But we'll see how it turns out.
You know, it's tough to imagine a kid moving from Donaldsonville to Baton Rouge without significant justification.
Exactly.
It's not like going from Tara to Broadmoor.
Right.
You know, that's a significant move.
But but to me, what's wrong with that? If a kid wants to see a better opportunity, I mean, we all do that in life. You know, we go to a better job, we go to better situations. Why try to control? I understand about trying to make it an even playing field, but hey, it is what it is. You know, I mean, give a kid the freedom to go and hey, you know, that's what maybe I'm wrong.
No, I agree with you, man.
Here's why. But here's why. Let's put it in context. So, you don't want high schools out there saying, oh man, so you're struggling at Donaldsonville academically, they're not working with you, they're not putting you on the platform that you want to. Well, look, I'm the assistant principal at my school, and I'm the head basketball coach. You transfer to my school, don't worry about your academics, we've got you. Just make sure you get those 24 points a night.
That's not good.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. Great point.
No,
Good point.
yeah. And the other thing too is that you take a move like Donaldsonville to Baton Rouge, or let's take Cameron Lard moving from Natchitoches to New Orleans. I mean, you can certainly make an assumption it's sports related because his profile is so high, and that's where his bread is buttered, and might even be where his family's bread will be buttered in the future. But at the same token, maybe his mom and dad got a job in New Orleans. There's a little more opportunity there than in Natchitoches.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, seriously.
Didn't we talk about what's his name? Moved to Las Vegas?
Right, Skylar Mays.
Skylar Mays?
Yeah, well, you know, but that might be sports related. But again, when you're moving that far, it's certainly
totally sports related. That's totally sports related.
Yeah.
That's a different animal.
Right, but it's a justified move. It's not like Perry described, somebody going across the street because some palms were greased under the table. I know when I was in school, you know, pretty much unless you were at a magnet school or a district school, you had to sit that year out. Clearly, the rules have become much more relaxed as I've watched kids transfer and play the very next year. But I'm curious to see how that plays out. And Perry, you'd probably be more of an expert on that than I would. I know you're very intimately involved with those regulations.
Absolutely. So we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to keep our listeners informed. And as we work our way through our Friday night broadcast through the football season, we will also keep you informed of the basketball interactions and what's to develop on the basketball scene in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge has had a lot of success.
Very successful.
Basketball-wise in recent years. So I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that will be very interested in the outcome of the LHSAA decision. So Here's what Eric alluded to at the beginning of the show that I wanted to take the opportunity to do. This past week, I've seen two major presidential candidates speak to the Black Lives Matter movement. And on one video, Hillary Clinton is engaging one of the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement. On a Fox News interview, Marco Rubio is speaking to the Black Lives Matter movement. And in both situations, they are saying that these folks do not have a specific agenda. That Hillary goes as far as to say that organize, come up with an agenda. I don't believe in changing hearts and minds. I believe in changing laws.
I heard that.
Reallocating resources. So, one, I want to say to the movement that your tactics are working. And what Hillary basically said to you is equivalent to telling the insurgents in Afghanistan that, hey, look, we're not equipped to handle you this way. Why don't you go form an army so that we can kick your butt the way that we know how to kick your butt? That's basically what he's telling you. They are not equipped. The Black Lives Matter movement is a loosely organized entity that makes it difficult to combat. They show up in places that are unexpected.
That's right.
And they do things that the system isn't prepared for. So to continue down that path. Now,
yes.
To the second part of the remarks, to have an agenda, well, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know
what the agenda is.
That we want people to stop being executed in the streets.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, so do you have to be a presidential candidate to know that that's the agenda?
Yeah.
So that was a little disingenuous. And I want to like Hillary. I do.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think that it would be very beneficial to the country for there to be a female elected president. Just as significant as an African-American president was. Well,
Coach.
So,
go ahead, Coach.
I want that to happen. It's just that I'm not certain that this is the proper person. So, hold on. I'm on a roll.
No, go ahead, Coach. Go. Don't pay me any mind.
So, look, I will attempt to answer this question for you, though, Black Lives Matter movement. Here's what I want you to say to the next politician that asks you, well, what is it that you want? Other than the obvious, we want African-American males to stop being executed in the streets. That's first and foremost. But secondly, we want this engagement of the police to take a less aggressive tone in our community. We want the police to protect and serve the people that live within the community. We want places to stop states' rights. We want states to stop gerrymandering their voting precincts to dilute the power of the people. We want that.
Yeah.
We want people that unfortunately end up in prison to have some restorative type justice, to come out with an automatic right to vote. We don't want them to have to go to another process. They are citizens. As soon as they come out, they should have the right to vote.
I agree.
We want them to not be asked, have you been convicted of a felony on application, so that they can earn a living and not be forced back into a life of crime. That's what we want. That's what we want. We want you to stop waging war against people of color.
Hey, well said.
Can't say any better than that, man.
Well said. You want to tackle that, Eric?
No, not much to tackle. Actually, I was nodding along. No, when Perry said I'd love to. It'd be great to have a woman president. I was saying I agree, but I don't think you want to see Sarah Palin or Carly Fiorina. But I get your point, and I actually kind of addressed where I was coming from with the right woman. My only thought on that is that, because this Black Lives Matter movement has gotten so big and is so visible, it's a name that anybody who watches the news regularly knows that, let's say, brand, for lack of a better word. And so it's not really that underground anymore, or less underground than it was before. And I think that some mobilization and organization could be the next step. I'll give you an example. When there was when Bernie Sanders had a rally in Seattle, and there was some Black Lives Matter activists who kind of took the stage before him and kind of made their point, kind of made their statement, and Sanders wound up not even coming out. Well, a guy like Bernie Sanders, if you know his background, this is a guy who's been dedicated to the cause of civil rights his entire career, marched with Dr. King when he probably could have been capped or blacklisted over it, and so on and so forth. He's if there's any politician who's sympathetic to the cause, it would be him. Seems to me you could get as much, if not more, done with a guy like that by getting, and I'm just using him as an example, getting with him beforehand, saying, look, this is what we're trying to do, this is where we want to go, this is the message we want to get across, work with him, then either have you introduce him or have him roll you out afterwards. I guess what I'm saying is use the power structure to your advantage. Just in this one example, you have a guy who's sympathetic, a powerful person who's sympathetic to the cause. Leverage that. I just wouldn't want to see you risking alienating somebody like that, or Mrs. Clinton, who's got a lot of power, a lot of doggone power. I think it's time to take it to the next level. I think they can, and I think it'd be more effective if you do so.
I agree with both of you all. I agree with Perry in the sense that I think Black Lives Matter, the way that it's going now, is really good, because sometimes, like he said, when you could be able to see, when you organization does get results because you have a specific agenda, like the Jewish, they have in their movement, or gays or whatever. But where I disagree with organizing is, once you organize, then they know who you are. See, now they can really kind of come after you. So in a sense, it's trying to say, we don't know who you guys are. We need you to organize. Then we can come at you. We can and organize it for as like the Black Panther Party movement or movements in the 70s. Now they know who you are. They can investigate you. They can go in. Who is the leader? We want to know who the leader is. We want y'all to organize so we can direct what we're trying to do after you. You see my point? So that's. But go ahead, Perry.
No, they're trying to make you play their game. Now, if you want to develop an arm that works within the system as well, I get that. So if you want, but don't stop your guerrilla tactics, because they are working, they are effective.
Right.
You want the rest of society as uncomfortable in their daily lives as African Americans are in their daily lives. We want to make everybody uncomfortable. If we're uncomfortable walking to the store, having our kids play with their toys in the park in Cleveland,
right,
we're uncomfortable with that now.
Right.
So all of society should be uncomfortable.
And I totally agree. And I also think that when they say, what's the agenda, we all know what the agenda is.
I would hope so.
I mean, it wouldn't, like you said, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know. Actually, we shouldn't have to voice what it is. You should already know, and to start being, take the steps to be able to try to tackle some of these issues, because it's like an onion. It's a lot of layers on top of this thing. We can go into the justice system, we can go into the police brutality, but that's the first thing. That's number one. Black Lives Matter. So at the end of the day, the first priority is the name of the group. It's Black Lives Matter. So stop killing us. That's number one.
And I don't
then
think
we'll deal with justice system and go from there. But when you have a organization where now anybody can join, because anybody can kind of attach themselves and say, hey, Black Lives Matter, it gives everybody a chance to be able to speak out or wear the shirt or whatever. So I like it in that sense, But I think we got to do more, and we're going to do more. Hey, y'all want to go to the break, because this week is going to be about NWA. The movie did well, man.
Oh, it was
what you think?
awesome, man. I'm ready. I wanted to go see that movie again last night. I didn't have the time, but I plan to. I'm just wondering though, Joker, you shared a story with Perry and I before, and it kind of fits right into where we're going with this.
Yeah, it does fit in. And I was talking about Perry was just alluding to, being able to walk to the store without being harassed, and it happened to me. I was going down the street, and they just pulled me over absolutely for nothing. And it was a black cop and it was a white cop, and when they came to the car, I was trying to fish out my license and everything. He said, "Oh, get out the car because you're acting suspicious." And I said, "Acting suspicious." And when I got out the car, he was like, "Just calm down, calm down." I said, "Calm down. I'm not excited. Put your hands on the car." So he takes me. I give him information. He's going to the car, and the white cop, me and him is standing out there. And I'm like, "Man, he was like, yeah, man, because we pull hundreds of people over, so we know when people are acting suspicious." I said, "I'm acting suspicious." I said, "I was getting my license." And he was like, "Well, yeah, but just keep your hands on the car." I said, "Well, you know what? I know what can happen with a random stop." I said I could end up dead because we have seen that before, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, when I said that, he was like, "Oh, you see that cop in there? He looks like he's black to me." So I said, "Well, that don't mean anything to me."
So's Uncle Tom.
Just because he's black, it's about the boys in blue first. That's the color.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so I asked the cop. I said, "Well, tell me how many black cops have you seen on TV that shot white teenagers?" And he told me, "Oh, that happens all the time. They just don't show it on TV." And I was like, "Really? Are you serious?"
You can't show Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny on TV either,
right?
Because they don't exist.
I'm really looking at him like, and so it just kind of blow me away to show me the mentality of him. He knows better, but I think he just was trying to be sarcastic by saying that and everything. And so just kind of another. Like, man, nothing is changing. No matter what is going on, it's still pretty much the same thing. And so that brings me to this song. This is actually a
Hold on. Before we go to break, one more story.
Go ahead.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Last week I talked about Randall Carrick,
right,
9-year-old officer who fatally killed, shot 12 times, 24-year-old former Florida A&M football player Jonathan Farrell. He shot at him 12 times. He hit him 10 times. And yesterday it was determined that the jury could not decide a verdict in this trial.
Wow.
4 votes, 8-4 votes, 7-5 votes. They voted 3 times. And now the city of Charlotte, there was some unrest last night as the African American community protested. And the protest agitated by the police became violent. And so we just wish for justice and peace for that city in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wow. Justice and peace. North Carolina, then you had South Carolina. Man, it's just, it's almost kind of leave you lost for words. In a sense, because it's the same old story. Just the example I just gave. Nothing has changed. But we'll go into this break now. It's actually NWA. The movie did well. Everybody pretty much has seen it. It broke all records, box office records. This song right here, to me, is probably one of the most conscious songs they wrote. It is the most conscious song they actually wrote, to me. If you see this video, and I want you to get a chance, go see this video. At the beginning of the video, NWA are young and they're working in the cotton fields, and they have a overseer on them on a horse. And then as the video goes on, they break through a banner and it says, "I have a dream." So as the video goes, and really listen to what they're saying on this song. You never heard NWA speak like this, conscious, on a record before. And at the end of the video, Dre he's like in an insane asylum, so he walks back, and when he sees the officer back there, he flashes back, and it's the same overseer that when he was young that was on the horse. And in flashback, he was also the cop during the middle of the video. So check this video out. Very, very powerful. I want you to check this out.
Black police showing out for the one cop.
Express yourself.
Acapella, yes.
Make me want to bust one. You know what I mean?
I know.
Hey. He said, "Go ahead, boy. You almost took me back right there." Express yourself.
Bust out a freestyle over here.
Yes, indeed, man. But I love that song. I got a question, though. Everybody was talking about the Public Enemy getting their own movie. Do you think Two Live Crew and Uncle Luke gonna get a movie?
Oh, only if Uncle Luke puts up a lot of the money. That would be. I'll tell you what. That would be fascinating. That would be fascinating. I would definitely go to see it.
Banned in the USA.
That would be something else. That might be NC-17 though, man. Because there'd have to be a lot of. How should I put it? The visual would have to go along with the audio for Uncle Luke to work. You know what I'm saying?
So you know, Master P's next on the bio. Seriously.
Really?
Master P comes out next year. Yeah.
No way, really?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Did you see that they was going to make a sequel to the NWA movie, and it's going to be about Snoop and the Dog Pound and Tupac?
That I would like to see.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if the same individuals, the screenwriters and the directors and producers who made this, because I thought this NWA movie was really, really good.
Awesome, yeah.
If those same individuals are similarly skilled team of individuals would work on that movie that you're talking about, hey, I would go. I'd have high expectations for it, and I would go to see it. Because I thought the NWA, if you grew up in that time and you liked NWA, you're gonna love the movie. And even if you didn't, I thought it was very compelling. I mean, I didn't listen to just as a contrast, I didn't listen to a whole lot of Johnny Cash growing up, but I thought the Walk the Line movie was outstanding. Similarly, even if you didn't know much about NWA, I thought it was a very compelling movie and a compelling story, especially for younger people or music fans in general, or people looking for commentary on society. So Snoop and Tupac, hey, I'd be all in. I hope they do it. I'll be the first in line to go see it.
Johnny Cash reference is really good.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Hey, but what we got on the college front? Any news?
I don't have anything on. I'm ready to. I mean, I got my Archie Manning jersey on right now. I know where I'm ready to go, but I'll wait. I'll wait at the stop sign if you or Perry have anything on the college front.
No. Let's go NFL, man.
Let's go NFL.
All right. Well, look, we have, of course, there's some preseason action tonight in New Orleans, and we have a special guests coming to town. They've been scrimmaging all week against them. Of course, it's the New England Patriots. Of course, when you say Patriots, they're the defending Super Bowl. Oh, how could I forget? I jumped out of line there. The National Football League. But they had Tom Brady coming to town. Of course, he and Roger Goodell have been back and forth in court all week between the judges telling them to work it out, and both of them kind of acting like petulant children and not working it out. And Tom Brady having these sketches of him making him look like Lurch from the Addams Family. It's the Tom Brady story is going to be the backdrop. I mean, even if he doesn't play the first 4 games of the year, he's definitely helping boost the preseason ratings because he's a story. But you know what, though? I got to say, I'm usually I'm not a big fan of Roger Goodell as a fan, as a sports fan, as a business person. I think what he's done with the league is incredible. But as a sports fan, and from the standpoint of the regular guy, I'm not a big fan. I think he's overly authoritative. But this is one time where I think Roger Goodell's iron fist, I approve of it, holding Tom Brady down, and he's fighting back because the notion that you can keep cheating over and over again and be successful is kind of blasphemous. And a lot of you might remember the NFL films, John Facenda, who had the voice of God and voiced the films for many, many years before his death in 1984, had a famous clip talking about the Oakland Raiders, the autumn wind. Well, Mr. Facenda, I think, looked down from heaven and was so appalled at what he saw that he had to have his spirit come into the studio and talk about the Tom Brady situation. Now, for those of you, yeah, man, that's how bad it is. Tom Brady's Deflategate made people come back from the dead.
Wow.
The autumn wind, just to give you younger listeners a very quick sample. This is kind of what Mr. Facenda used to sound like back in the day.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten.
So that was John. That was John Facenda while he was alive. But like I said, after this Deflategate stuff, he had to make one of the longest of long-distance trips, and this is what he had to say.
The winter wind is a pirate, a thief sipping Boston tea. The supermodel wife wears the pants as he swaggers arrogantly. His face is dimple-laden, his Uggs boots lined with fur. With his GQ smile and Bieber-like hair, a heartthrob the women concur. His wind whips through the trees and blows through alleys and halls. It's not a torpedo, hurricane, or storm, but the air let out from his balls. The winter wind is a cheater, a Patriots song he sings. He'll laugh and cavort, the truth he'll distort, as he flashes his ill-gotten rings.
So I don't think Mr.
Wow, I'm excited, man. I'm ready for some football.
Mr. Facenda wasn't all that pleased with Tom Brady. So we got the Patriots coming to play the Saints tonight. Saints looked kind of blah, in that first preseason game. And you can often only glean so much from a first preseason game. You have second, third, and fourth stringers playing, but the defense left very little to be desired, and they wound up also losing on a touchdown scored by the Ravens with the final 2 seconds of the game. It was really just kind of a microcosm of what the starters did last year.
Man, it's hard to even comment right now. It's hard to comment on the Saints right now, man, because I'm so, I was so upset with a lot of moves that they made this offseason. Actually, I was upset when they kept Ryan. When they kept the defense coordinator, I knew right then it wasn't going to be. Maybe let me hold, reservations. So, I don't want to say nothing because the season hasn't started. So I'll wait till about the first 4 games, and then I'll pretty much comment on that, man. But what you think about this story, though? Tim Tebow.
Oh, man, don't get me started.
Tebow.
Tim Tebow. Man, that dude.
They're saying he's probably going to make the team with Philly, and that's kind of offense, I think. What do you think? The Chip Kelly, I think Chip Kelly, by keeping Tim Tebow, is trying to throw a middle finger to his critics. I mean, Chip Kelly's made some very questionable personnel moves, and this would be the latest in the long line. We know that Tebow wouldn't be more than a third-string quarter. He's not taking Sam Bradford's spot. He's not taking Mark Sanchez's spot. He's fighting with Matt Barkley for that last quarterbacking spot on the team. And if they were to keep him, it might be for some gimmick plays, maybe in conversion situations. I can imagine a few scenarios, but the bottom line is that Tim Tebow can't throw the football. And I was a big fan of Tebow the person, obviously not Tebow the quarterback, because he, was a thorn in LSU's side while he was there. But, I think I like to see good things happen to good people. I thought he was deserving of his Heisman Trophy and being a Heisman finalist those 2 years. I thought he was a great college player. But, I think his celebrity really because of his outspoken Christianity is what's carrying him. But that's fine. That's great. But it's not. It has nothing to do with what happens on the football field. Another celebrity quarterback, Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, but see, Johnny Manziel.
What is he going to do this
year?
Can
throw the. Actually, I'll tell you what. The first game I saw, and I'm biased because everyone remembers a couple of years ago, I was very much on the Manziel bandwagon his last year at Texas A&M. So let me just throw that out there. I was, but Johnny Manziel. But Johnny Manziel can run and he can throw and he's athletic. He can read defenses. At least he did so.
What you think he's going to do this year?
I don't know. He had one preseason game. He looked like a very different guy, much more disciplined. But it's one preseason game and an exhibition game. I hope the young man's learned his lesson. Going to rehab, getting help for yourself when you got a problem is the first step. I would hope he's acutely aware of the many valid criticisms that were launched his way last year. But he has the raw talent. He's a guy who can buy time with his legs and throw the ball. Tim Tebow at Florida was a run first, dump it out 3 yards. He didn't throw the football. Manziel did. So I think there's a difference there. I don't know what's going to happen. It's Cleveland, so I have very low expectations. But if the first preseason game was a microcosm, the one against Buffalo was a microcosm of how he's going to play, and I'm speaking specifically of the discipline, not even the yards of passes, but the fact that he waited, didn't do stupid things with the football, didn't take off first, he'll be better than last year, and he might actually look like an NFL quarterback, but that really remains to be seen.
Coach.
Hold on. Before you put anything else on the table, let me see if I can jump in here first regarding the Saints. To our Saints fans, and we have a lot of them that listen to the show.
A little louder, Perry.
Okay, so to our Saints fans, the primary thing that you want to watch by watching using football is, one, that offensive line. How productive is that move that you made by trading your all-world tight end for a center? So is that center paying off by bringing that offensive line together with his leadership? That's what you want to look for. And then, of course, you want to look for that defense, and not whether or not they are having plays made against them, but are they being out-schemed? Are people converting 4th and 20s on them
Right.
like we saw last week?
Oh, it'll give me some.
Yeah. So what you think about Jameis Winston or Johnny Manziel and Tim Tebow?
Hold on. Before we add Winston to the table, let me go back and touch on Tebow and Philly.
Okay.
So, man, I understand Tebow's criticisms, the critiques that are launched against Tebow. However, there is no substitution for a winning mentality. And this young man was probably the winningest quarterback in college history. And even in Denver, as bad as he could not throw the ball, he found ways to win. And for the life of me, I can't understand why a coach would not want that type of winning mentality in your locker room, even if it's in a third position at the quarterback position.
Eric's about to die over here, man.
Well, I mean, Bill Belichick's a pretty smart coach, and I think the 32 guys who got the jobs in the NFL are pretty sharp guys, and Belichick released him, and nobody touched him. He hasn't played on an NFL roster in 2 seasons. The last coach to have him was Rex Ryan, and now the guy's taking a chance on him is Chip Kelly. It definitely can't hurt to have his locker room presence and so on, but NFL roster spots are valuable. And as far as winning, I mean, you look at that little run he had with the Broncos, there was a lot of smoke and mirrors, some late fumbles, some 55-yard field goals, some incredible defensive performances, and he did run the ball well. But, again, it's good it can't hurt if there's not a better alternative out there. But he hasn't been in the NFL in 2 years. That makes me very, very skeptical. But he is famous, and he's a good guy. So I guess they can't hurt. But when Chip Kelly does it, it gives me pause. But I will tip my hat to your point on that one, Perry.
So the last thing, the Manziel situation. Man. Here's a young man that had a tremendous amount of personal issues. Mm-hmm. And it is one thing to perform in the first preseason game of the year. I would question, though, whether the rehabilitation is solidified enough to be able to handle the pressures of Game 9 of the regular season when you have to win in order to stay in playoff contention. I'm just not sure that personally that it is fair to Johnny to put him in that situation.
He's earned a lot of question marks, Perry. I mean, my tone on Johnny Manziel between now and his last year at Texas A&M is, I'm not going to say it's done a 180, but I'm definitely as far as anybody who didn't go to Texas A&M or doesn't live in Cleveland, I have as big of a microscope as anybody could, because it was Murphy's Law for that young man last year, and I agree with you. But the problem with Cleveland, their other alternatives are Josh McCown and what is that? Okay, turn my mic down.
What happened there, fellas? Joker put Jameis Winston on the table while they work things out in the studio. I'll jump in here. Joker put Jameis Winston on the table, and I'm excited to see what he and his head football coach are going to do for the NFC South. Here, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are definitely going to be a defensive-first football team. Mm-hmm. And with that, especially in the NFC South, where points traditionally have reigned and offenses have ruled, it's going to be interesting to see how this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team performs And Jameis Winston should not have a lot of pressure on him because they are going to be a defensive first football team. So that should allow him to relax and be a little bit more efficient than most NFL rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, and with Jameis Winston, too, that's another guy of whom I'm a big fan. And I'll tell you what, one thing I can say for Winston is that when you have a profile like his, or for that matter like Manziel's, the adage, no news is good news, fits appropriately. And with Jameis Winston, you haven't heard a thing that doesn't have to do with Buccaneers training camp or preseason games. And I hope that continues. I think people have let the noise cloud or distract the real narrative on Jameis Winston and his potential. And I think I was really hoping that the Buccaneers might have bitten to the hype and let him fall to the number 2 spot to Tennessee, because now we're going to be stuck with this guy in our division for a very long time. You know, as a football fan, I hope the critics are right. I don't think they are. As somebody who watches and analyzes, I think he's going to be very, very good. I don't think, you know, you get, the most serious thing that happened with this young fellow was the rape allegation, and they poured in that for 2 years. They investigated, they declined to charge. They reinvestigated when he actually became a household name. They declined again. The civil suit has gone nowhere. I mean, look, I don't know what happened, but I don't see anything that indicates that this guy did anything wrong in that instance. You can beat that with, of course, we could say the same thing about Bill Cosby, but eventually the smoking gun came out. Well, there hasn't been a smoking gun with Winston. You know, and then with, as far as his other stuff.
What's that coach's name down there before you move on? What's the coach's?
Jimbo Fisher. You know, and
no, not at Florida State, in Tampa Bay.
Oh, Lovie Smith. James Evans from Good Times.
Yeah, Lovie Smith. Yeah, he does resemble James Evans.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, so, you know, you had what were the other things? He jumped on top of a table and yelled some profanities. He stole some soda, and of course he shoplifted some crab's legs, and that's not smart. I mean, I'm certainly not going to be impressed with that on a job interview, but this is football, and this is a guy who was 19, 20 years old. When you look, you play professional football, you got to have a little edge to you, okay? And if that's the worst that he's done, I think, and the fact that he's kept his nose clean, and you look at how he plays on the field, you look how he commands that huddle, and how those guys respond around him. If you're watching the games, I think all that other stuff is noise. I really do. But I wish him well personally. I just don't wish his team very well. But that's another one. We'll see how it unfolds. Perry, you have any thoughts?
Make no mistake about it, though, Eric. He is going to be the 4th best quarterback in a quarterback-heavy league.
Oh, absolutely.
The quarterback-heavy division.
Oh, absolutely. No, between Newton and Ryan and Breeze, he has a long ladder to climb. I mean, I don't even know. You know, between those three, I think Breeze is still the clear favorite in spite of his age. But out of Ryan and Newton, that's probably a coin toss. And Jameis Winston's got a lot of rungs to climb on the ladder. But I think he has the potential to do it. But of course, as Coach Jim Morris Sr. often said, potential means you haven't done it yet. Coach, what do you think about the Tom Brady situation as it's beginning to unfold? We had the late John Facenda come back from the dead and voice his disapproval, and I know you have a similar, or I know you have a feeling, I know you have a thought on that story.
Yeah, I think what's going on right now is smoke and mirrors by the NFL. I think that they want to look tough on this situation to give the image, to protect the integrity of the game, so to speak. However, I don't think that it's in the NFL's best interest for Tom Brady to miss 4 games. So I think at the end of the day, you're going to see this settled out of court. And if it stays 4 games, you're going to see Tom Brady be compensated for some of those weeks off. And you may even see the New England Patriots compensated for some of those weeks off.
Like an extension?
So there's going to be a compromise here, and I don't anticipate it being that he will be out the entire 4 games.
You think?
But the NFL has to look tough on this because they've been tough on the minority violators.
Right. No, they have, and they've been tough on other teams too. I mean, they let the Patriots get away. I mean, the Patriots' story is well documented with Spygate and now Deflategate, and they've gotten away with murder. Over the years. Do you think when you say Brady will be compensated, do you think like he'll have a bonus extended into his next contract or something like that? I mean, you think they'll find some way to wrap it into some kind of an extension or something, or quote unquote renegotiate a contract?
So the Players Association's premise of the suit is that it is unprecedented for someone to be punished for not cooperating with the league. And based on that, they're trying to relinquish some of the power back from Goodell. And Goodell is saying, and the NFL owners are saying, well, no, you gave us this power in the collective bargaining agreement. Mm-hmm. So I think as a win-win for both parties, maybe he will get 2 game checks, even though he may be suspended 4 games, mm-hmm. As a way of pulling back some of that power. Or you're going to see it reduced down to 2 games as a way of pulling back some of that power.
I'll tell you, Mr. Brady stands to lose about a little more than $2 million in salary if he sits all 4 games. And I'll tell you what, people, that's pocket change. Yeah, I've never in my life met a man. Donald Trump wouldn't just let $2 million go. All right, I promise you Tom Brady wouldn't either, especially given how short their shelf lives are. That's a story we're going to keep our eye on. Perry, do we have time?
Perry.
Yes, sir.
I got a question, man. Did you hear about this no-hitter that happened last night?
Oh, I sure did, yeah. Man. It's a great transition. It's Mike Fiers of the Houston Astros. I'll tell you, it's a good game. It's a good week for me as a fan. My 2 favorite baseball teams are the Los Angeles Dodgers, who I grew up with, and I lived in Houston for a couple of years and kind of adopted them. And they faced off last night, and Mike Fiers of the Astros threw a no-hitter last night. It was something to see. The Dodgers, they recently acquired Chase Utley from Philadelphia. Thought that might boost the lineup. Well, Mike Fiers was on fire. Mike Fiers has never thrown a complete game before. He's never gone into the 9th inning before, and he did all that and then some. 131 pitches, wow. And there were a couple of great catches in the outfield, but for the most part, he just kept striking them out and keeping the LA Dodgers off balance. That's the 11th no-hitter in Astros franchise history. First complete game in Fiers' career. Obviously, his first no-hitter and his first win as a Houston Astro. And interestingly enough, if the Saints weren't playing in the Dome where I have season tickets, I was actually thinking about making a trip to Houston when I saw the Dodgers on the schedule. I kind of wish I'd done that now to see something that historic, but very exciting, and it's a good story to lead into the home stretch of this pennant race. I mean, the Astros have been largely irrelevant for the last, I'd say going back to about 2008, 2009. They haven't even been in the discussion after the All-Star break since those 2 years. And now they're sitting in first place, 3.5 games ahead of the Los Angeles Angels. Look, they're for real. It's not just an early season Cinderella story. And they acquired Mike Fiers from Milwaukee right around the trade deadline, and it could not have, so far it makes it look like Jeff Luhnow made the right choice in Houston to bring him in, as it seems to be panning out rather well. Other Major League Baseball...
Hold on.
Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Jump in man, I get a chance to rub it in the Dodgers fan face.
Yeah.
So, first, let's give kudos to the Astros. Not only have they not been relevant, Eric, they've had 3 straight years, the past 3 years, they've had 100+ losses. Yeah. And for those that don't keep up with a whole lot of baseball, the baseball season's 162 games. 3 straight years, and each year they've lost more than 100. Yeah. So for them to be in first place this late in the season is pretty amazing. And they have a payroll of only $79 million, which is, in comparison, the team that they no-hit last night has a payroll of $309 million.
Yeah.
So, the baseball is the one sport where we see money doesn't necessarily mean success. Although the Dodgers have been tremendously successful, however, we see a lot of small markets in baseball elevate to the top.
Absolutely.
And we don't see that in a whole lot of other sports.
I mean, you look at Pittsburgh.
Speaking of small market, who we got coming up next?
Oh, we got coming up is Noel Jackson with Music Satisfaction here on 96.9 FM, WHYR-LP, Baton Rouge Community Radio. I think he just walked in the door.
That's Nothing small about New Zealand.
No, sir. No, sir. The big, deep voice of
Yes,
Noel
indeed.
Jackson. But yeah, you look at the Pittsburgh Pirates, you look at the St. Louis Cardinals, you look at the Astros. Actually have it's the fourth largest city in the United States, but they basically chose to purge all the dead weight they had on their payroll from back when they won the pennant back in 2005 and tried to compete in the late 2000s. You look at teams like that, and they show it could be the Tampa Bay Rays are the model of that. I mean, where you can have low payroll, but you scout well, you develop your farm system, you pour all your energy into it, and boom, you don't have to spend a lot of money to be competitive. The Dodgers have a very different blueprint. They go out, and they're in L.A., and they got a lot of money out there, and there are a lot of fans, and they spend it. You know, and it makes you think, though, if you take teams like L.A. or the Yankees, and if they invested the time into their farm system and scouting as they did, buying the big names and getting them out there, they might be bulletproof. But, you know, I guess in those big, glitzy, glamorous cities, that doesn't work as well. But, yep, egg on my Dodgers' face.
Yeah, so you were absolutely right. Not so much small markets, you know, based on Houston's size.
Right.
Yes, payroll, they are small. But here's the key to baseball, Eric. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago as we kind of touched on baseball when we were asking who's the most significant player in the game, and I resoundingly said, you know, Yadier Molina. Well, the key to baseball is what goes on in the middle of the field. And with these Astros, you have Jose Altuve.
That's it.
Altuve, second baseman, who is a candidate for MVP. You have the shortstop, this rookie, Carlos Carrera, who may be the rookie of the year. You have a solid catcher. And I don't have his
name slips me too.
The center fielder who they acquired in this deal from the Brewers, Carlos Gomez, who's a perennial all-star. So when you're solid in the middle of the field in baseball, man, you always have a chance to win.
I'm telling you what, it's going to be interesting to see what happens going down the line. I used to go to Astros games, a couple of series every summer before they became absolutely irrelevant. That last season, though, with Jose Altuve's rookie year in 2011, that is the last time I've been to Minute Maid Park. As awful and unwatchable as that team was, even he stood out then, and that is a guy they have to build around. And you're right, they have something going there. I want to say Jed Lowry might be the catcher in Houston. I'm not sure, but that's a story to keep an eye on. That'll be one heck of a redemption story. In the American League. In the American League West, they're leading the LA Angels. In the Central, another small market team, Perry, the Kansas City Royals, they've all but clinched the AL Central as they are just running away from the Twins and Tigers, who are not eliminated by any stretch of the imagination. But the Royals, that is the smallest of small market teams, and the same thing. There was a lot of suffering they did for years, but they built that farm system up and locked those guys in at lower salaries, and now all of a sudden they're competing in spite of being in a smaller market, not having all the media advantages.
Eric, there are three teams in baseball with more than 70 wins at this point in the season, and two of them are out of the state of Missouri.
Oh, Perry's on a roll today,
boy.
boy.
He's on a roll, boy. He's about St. Louis, ain't he?
Shoot. Hey, and as well you should be. The Midwest is having a heck of a season, baseball, sports-wise, really. In the East, in the AL East, we got two of the biggest cities in the world, New York and Toronto. They're in a virtual tie. The Yankees are a half game up on the Blue Jays. Interestingly, though, in the wild card race, it bears noting that you have a lot of teams that are very close between the Tampa Bay Rays, Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Texas Rangers, and then if the season were to end today, the LA Angels would have the last wild card spot. The Blue Jays have a little bit of a cushion. All those teams I just mentioned are within 2 games of the wild card. So that is a very tight race in the American League. Quickly over to the National League. As Perry mentioned, there are 3 teams that would win the National League East or West of the season end today, and they're all in the Central. That will be the St. Louis Cardinals, Pittsburgh Pirates, and Chicago Cubs. The Cardinals have the best record in the majors. They have a comfortable lead, 4.5 games on Pittsburgh, 7.5 games on the Chicago Cubs. The season ended today. All 3 of those teams would be in the playoffs. The one that has me just shaking my head and wanting to go Jim Mora, playoffs, is the New York Mets, as they pulled away from Perry Perry's adopted brethren in Washington. They're 5 games up on the Nationals, and today is August the 22nd. Finally, all that pitching with Matt Harvey and those guys have come together. And with 1 minute left, of course, my LA Dodgers are a game and a half ahead on the San Francisco Giants from a wild card standpoint in the National League. Again, Chicago and San Fran strike that. Pittsburgh and Chicago would have those spots. San Francisco is on the outside looking in, but they have a shot. The rest of those teams are pretty much gone pecans unless they win their division.
Well, great, man. You know, it was a great show today. We want to thank you all for tuning in. We also want you to go on Facebook and like us, Louisiana All American Sports, and be on the lookout for Scotlandville versus McKinley. We will be there at 96.9 WHYR. This is Joker P. I'm signing out. What you got to say, Perry?
ADT, JNS, love you.
Have a good afternoon.
Hail to the king and lots of love. Hail to the king and lots of love. May he protect us from the evil. Hail to the king, lots of love. May he protect us from evil.